If you have been watching the Los Angeles Lakers closely this season, then you already feel it. There's something different about the energy of this team on a nightly basis, and a huge part of that shift comes from two names that might not always dominate the headlines, but absolutely dominate the little details that win games: Marcus Smart and Jackson Hayes. These two have brought an edge, a grit, and a level of consistency that has quietly reshaped the identity of this roster. Let's start with Marcus Smart, because when the Lakers brought him in, there was already a clear expectation. He was never meant to be the flashiest scorer on the floor. He was never meant to drop 30 every night. What he was supposed to do was fill the void of a tough, defensive-minded veteran who understands his role and embraces it. And that is exactly what he has done. Night after night, you never question whether he's going to show up mentally. You never question the effort. You never question the defensive intensity. He competes on every possession like it is the last one of the game. Now, does that mean he is perfect? Of course not. There are nights when his shot selection makes you hold your breath. There are stretches when the three-point shot just refuses to fall, and you live with that frustration because you know it comes attached to everything else he provides. Smart is one of those players where the positives consistently outweigh the negatives. Even when the jumper is off, he is impacting the game by pressuring the ball, diving on the floor, fighting through screens, and disrupting offensive rhythm. The box score will not always tell you the full story, but if you watch closely, you see the accumulation of small winning plays. Then there is Jackson Hayes, and his development has been one of the most intriguing storylines for this team. Hayes still has areas of growth, especially on the defensive end when it comes to discipline and biting on fakes. At times, he can be overeager, leaving his feet a split second too early or leaning into contact instead of staying perfectly vertical. But what stands out is how much he has improved and how impactful he has become in high-leverage moments. Hayes brings something this roster desperately needs: vertical spacing and pure athletic explosion. When he sprints the floor, defenses have to react. When he rolls hard to the rim, it forces weak-side defenders to collapse. And when he rises above everyone for a lob, you can feel the momentum inside the arena instantly shift. Those dunks are not just 2 points. They're emotional swings. They energize teammates. They deflate opponents. They turn tight games into situations where the Lakers suddenly control the tempo. What makes both Smart and Hayes so valuable is that their effort never fluctuates. You do not wonder if they are engaged. You do not question whether they understand their role. They know exactly what is expected of them. Smart is there to defend at an elite level, to organize, to communicate, and to make those gritty plays that break an opponent's rhythm. Hayes is there to run the floor, protect the rim to the best of his ability, finish above the rim, and inject pace into the game. And when you look at certain matchups this season, it becomes obvious how essential they have been. There have been games where, without their presence, the Lakers simply do not walk away with a win. It is not always about scoring totals. It is about key stops late in the fourth quarter. It is about a timely offensive rebound. It is about rotating perfectly to contest a shot or cutting off a driving lane. These are the details that separate contenders from pretenders. Another important layer to this conversation is chemistry. Hayes, in particular, has built strong on-court synergy with his teammates, thriving in actions where he can use his length and athleticism as a target around the rim. When a guard collapses the defense and throws the ball near the cylinder, Hayes does not need a perfect pass. He just needs a window. His ability to elevate and finish makes him a constant threat, and that pressure opens space for perimeter shooters and secondary actions. Still, the question remains about his long-term ceiling. Is he the definitive starting center for the future, or is he a high-level rotational big who thrives in a specific role? Right now, he looks like a player who can close games when a matchup demands mobility and speed. He covers ground quickly. He can switch for brief stretches. He can recover with his length. But to solidify himself as a long-term anchor, the next step is about timing and discipline. Shot blocking is not just about jumping high. It is about reading angles, anticipating movement, and staying patient. If Hayes can add strength without sacrificing quickness, if he can refine his defensive instincts and stop falling for subtle fakes, his impact could rise to another level. The tools are clearly there. The athletic profile is undeniable. And we have already seen flashes of what he can become when everything clicks together. As for Marcus Smart, his value becomes even more pronounced as the season progresses toward high-stakes basketball. Playoff environments demand toughness, communication, and composure under pressure. Smart has lived in those moments before. He understands defensive schemes. He anticipates passing lanes. He is not afraid to take a big shot or make a risky defensive gamble if he reads the play correctly. That fearlessness is contagious. What truly defines both players is that they care about winning above everything else. They are willing to sacrifice personal numbers for team success. They accept tough defensive assignments. They embrace physical battles in the paint. They do the unseen work that does not always trend on social media, but shows up in the win column. And when you step back and evaluate the Lakers' identity this season, it becomes clear that Smart and Hayes are not just complementary pieces. They are tone setters. They are the players who establish intensity from the opening tip. They are the ones who can swing a game with hustle, timing, and effort rather than pure scoring talent. In a league where highlight plays often overshadow fundamentals, these two have reminded everyone that championships are built on details, discipline, and relentless competitiveness. When you start projecting forward and thinking about what this roster could look like beyond this season, the conversation naturally circles back to how essential both Marcus Smart and Jackson Hayes have become to the overall structure of the team. It is not just about what they're doing right now, but about how their skill sets translate when the games slow down, when every possession is dissected, and when weaknesses are targeted over and over again in a playoff series. With Marcus Smart, you are talking about a veteran who understands that winning basketball is often decided in the margins. He might give you 10 or 12 points on a given night, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but the scoring is not the headline. The headline is how he manipulates tempo defensively, how he communicates through switches, how he anticipates the next action before it fully develops. There are stretches during games where he seems to be involved in everything. A deflection here, a strip in the paint there, a rotation that forces a bad pass. Those are not glamorous moments, but they accumulate over 4 quarters. In high-pressure matchups, Smart's presence becomes even more valuable. Opposing guards cannot relax when he is on the floor. He fights through screens with determination, and even when he gets beat initially, he recovers with physicality. He takes pride in making scorers uncomfortable, and that mentality spreads. Younger players watch that effort and understand the standard. It is not optional. It is required. Offensively, yes, there will still be nights where his shot selection raises eyebrows. There will be games where the three-point percentage does not reflect the confidence with which he shoots. But the Lakers are not asking him to be the primary offensive engine. They're asking him to keep the defense honest, to make the right read when the ball swings his way, and to step into big moments without hesitation. He has always been willing to take responsibility, even when the outcome is uncertain. That courage matters in tight games. Now, shift back to Jackson Hayes, because his role becomes even more fascinating when you consider the evolution of the modern center. The league demands versatility. It demands mobility. It demands the ability to guard in space while still protecting the rim. Hayes has shown flashes of being able to check those boxes. His athleticism allows him to hedge and recover. His length gives him a margin for error. And when he times his jumps correctly, he can alter shots in a way that does not always show up as a block, but absolutely affects the possession. The biggest area of growth for Hayes continues to revolve around discipline, staying grounded on pump fakes, reading the offensive player's hips instead of reacting to the ball, maintaining verticality instead of leaning forward into contact. These are teachable details. They come with repetition and experience. And considering how much progress he has already made over the past year, it is reasonable to believe he can continue trending upward. Offensively, his chemistry within the system has become a real weapon. When he sets a solid screen and explodes toward the rim, defenders are forced to collapse. That opens driving lanes. That opens kick-out passes. That creates second-chance opportunities when he crashes the glass. He does not need plays called specifically for him to be effective. His impact is tied to activity. Sprinting in transition, cutting at the right moment, sealing his defender deep in the paint. These are habits that translate to winning. There's also a psychological component to what Hayes brings. When he throws down a powerful dunk, it energizes the entire bench. You can see the shift in body language. Teammates feed off that emotion. The crowd responds. Momentum swings are real in basketball, and Hayes has become one of the catalysts for those swings. Looking ahead, roster construction will inevitably spark debate. Should the Lakers pursue another high-level center to anchor the paint long-term? Or should they continue developing Hayes and trust his trajectory? The answer might not be strictly one or the other. There is room in the modern game for multiple bigs with different skill sets. A more physical presence could complement Hayes rather than replace him. But what feels clear is that he has earned the right to be part of that conversation as a meaningful piece, not just a placeholder. As for Smart, his future value ties directly into his leadership and playoff experience. When rotations tighten and every mistake is magnified, having a guard who embraces defensive assignments and thrives in chaotic moments becomes critical. He is comfortable in those environments. He does not shy away from physical play. He does not disappear when the lights are brightest. Instead, he leans into the challenge. The Lakers, as currently constructed, rely on a blend of star power and complementary toughness. Smart and Hayes represent the toughness. They represent the willingness to do the dirty work. They represent the consistency of effort that balances out the natural ebbs and flows of offensive production from the stars. And in a long season, that balance is everything. You can already see stretches where Hayes is trusted to close games, especially when mobility is prioritized over sheer size. You can see Smart orchestrating defensive possessions late in the fourth quarter, pointing out switches, directing traffic, making sure everyone is in the right spot. Those are signs of trust from the coaching staff. Trust is not given lightly. It is earned through repetition, preparation, and reliability. If both players continue progressing along this path, their impact could extend far beyond regular season storylines. They could become defining pieces in a postseason run, the type of players analysts point to afterward and say that while the Stars carried the scoring load, it was the grit and the defensive tenacity of the supporting cast that tipped the balance. And that is why this discussion matters now. Because what Smart and Hayes are building is not just a series of solid individual performances. It is a foundation of identity. It is a commitment to effort on every possession. It is a reminder that championships are rarely won by talent alone. They are secured by teams that embrace physicality, discipline, and the willingness to sacrifice personal comfort for collective success. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, whispers around the league are growing louder, and this time they circle a name that few expected to headline off-season chatter. Grayson Allen himself has fueled the speculation, admitting in private conversations that wearing the purple and gold is more than a distant fantasy. The idea of Allen one day suiting up for the Los Angeles Lakers is no longer being treated as idle talk in front offices. Currently with the Phoenix Suns, Allen has carved out a reputation as a reliable perimeter shooter and an intense competitor, traits that are always valued in the pressure-heavy ecosystem of the NBA. Insiders suggest that his role in Phoenix, while productive, may not fully align with his long-term ambitions. The Lakers, eternally in search of shooting depth and playoff-hardened mentality, are believed to be quietly monitoring the situation. Allen's resume adds intrigue to the rumor. A four-year standout at Duke University, he entered the league with a polished offensive game and the kind of confidence forged in high-stakes environments. Drafted 21st overall by the Utah Jazz, his journey since then has been marked by steady evolution rather than stardom, making him an appealing under-the-radar target for a franchise that thrives on maximizing role players. Sources close to the situation caution that nothing is imminent, but they acknowledge that discussions have warmed up in recent weeks. Salary mechanics, roster flexibility, and timing all remain obstacles. Yet the mutual interest is said to be real. For Allen, the allure is obvious. The global spotlight, the championship expectations, and the chance to redefine his narrative on the league's most dramatic stage. For the Lakers, it could be a calculated bet on a player whose best basketball may still be ahead. As with all rumors in this league, silence can be as telling as confirmation. And for now, the buzz continues to build. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.